Welcome back to yet another episode of The Richie Rich Chemist. This channel is all about careers in basic science. Well, when it comes to changing the Indian education system, who hasn't heard of Teach for India? To remind us that being rich is not just about acquiring money, but about creating positive impact for society, we have Nirmala Sharon Paul, my former student, who is currently a fellow advisor at Teach for India. We are keen to know your career story and how did you get into Teach for India? What was your motivation?
I did my master's in Manipal. I did it in applied mathematics. The college which I did my undergrad in, where you taught me, was St. Aloysius College, and there they offered me a role to fill in for a teacher who was going on maternity leave. So I was teaching MSc Math students there. I did that for a year. In the process of teaching students, I realized that college is an experience every child needs to know. And then Teach for India is something that was always at the back of the head. And my sister, she's senior program manager at Teach for India now, Mumbai. It was during the pandemic. I volunteered for 3 months. This was online. I'm extremely passionate about math, and knowing that there is a big group of children who love to learn math, that's something that stuck with me. The amount of gratitude and the amount of compassion they show in return, that's very wholesome, fulfilling. Currently, I work in the Sri Ganga Vidya Niketan School in Kadagodi, which is in Whitefield. It's open to anyone they want to visit and see how a classroom runs. So there I work across multiple classrooms, 8, 9 and 10.
What is Teach for India and how do they impact society?
So Teach for India is an NGO. Their mission, in fact, is to work towards an India that's free of poverty and filled with love. How do we go about it? Is through children and providing them with excellent education. TFI has started in India about 10 years ago. So far, they've worked with about 34,000 students. 4,000 fellows have worked in TFI so far. Around 50 million children are being impacted through the alumni community. They end up setting up schools or running schools or coaching teachers. On the ground level, is we work with government schools and low-income private schools, and we send teachers there who work full-time for 2 years. The normal intervention starts at grade 2, and then we continue with them for 8 years.
So how does one join TFI? What is the basic requirement?
You have part-time options with volunteering in TFI classrooms. If you're a grade 10 student and you want to volunteer, you can volunteer at a second grade or a third grade classroom. You just have to go through a small course. Volunteering must happen for at least 50 hours. That's a basic for a certificate. So it's a certificate course. But if you want to be a fellow, it's a full-time 2-year course, and it's a 2-year commitment that you sign with the organization. Prerequisites to be a fellow is you need to have an undergrad course, and that's about it.
Can you tell us why should one join TFI? What are the benefits for them personally?
Primarily, TFI is a leadership program, and you're working with, of course, your classroom, your HM, and the government vertical in connection with your classroom. So it could be the block education officers, the CRPs. On the other hand, you also have different tracks, that is year-long courses that happen. One of them is the public sector track, where you learn about governance, policy, advocacy. The other one is a fellow advisor track. That is something that I'm doing right now, which deals with managing people, content creation, setting up exemplar classrooms, and what does that mean, coaching teachers, and very much related to education. So if you thrive in the education space, you get to learn and figure out a lot of things on your own. You have a lot of sessions with entrepreneurs who are alumni now, who have set up their own school. Post-fellowship with well-known, renowned colleges. Having a TFI in your CV gives weightage, and also it's a very humbling process.
Do you get some kind of remuneration?
You get a stipend. There is a basic minimal amount based on the city you're placed in. We are there in 8 cities.
And what is the selection process like?
First is based on your application. We have 3 rounds that happen. One that starts July 10th. Once your application is selected, you will have an interview. But before the interview, you'll have a small aptitude test. You'll have to take a small teaching video. There'll be group discussions and just the regulars. The applications are online. Post the interview, once you get selected, there will be training. There is a residential training program that happens at Pune. And then there's summer school where you execute all that you've learned. And then you're placed in your placement cities. And then it's 2 years over there.
How has the journey with TFI changed you as a person?
There's a project that we do in the second year. It's called the Be the Change project. The fellows who had joined before me in the school that I was in, they set up a computer and a science lab. I saw grade 8 and 9 kids touch a computer for the very first time in their life. Watching them just experience something that so easily came to most of us. It was a learning process. Children just waiting for you in class every single day. It just changes, and the way they accept you. A whole group of people who have such diverse and difficult backgrounds just accepting you. And of course, the other things are the regulars, how you're planning when you are very, very, very short on resources.
I think it's so fulfilling for you as a teacher to see that change as you go through this fellowship, right?
For sure. Yeah. The community that we have at TFI, we celebrate each other no matter what.
Can you tell us what career progression at TFI is like?
There are a couple of roles that you do undertake. For example, you have the fellow advisor role that happens in the second year, where you're like a mini manager, sort of. You learn how program runs. When you can work with the recruitment team, you can always intern with organizations that work with the government. So I had done an internship with an organization called Avishkar, which is in Himachal Pradesh. They work towards building a curriculum for math and science towards 100% conceptual clarity. You get to know a lot of these organizations. They even come into the institute. In TFI itself, post your fellowship, you have a lot of verticals that you can join: the program manager, or in the recruitment team, or in logistics. Any program execution role takes you in. Research roles, consulting firms like Satva Consulting, they hire a lot from Teach for India. So you can get into corporate as well.
Because the experience that you've gathered is so valuable that you can get in anywhere.
You can continue to be a teacher, do your master's in education. You can start a school, you can run a school, and of course, coaching and training teachers.
What are some of the challenges that you face in a job of this sort?
Cultural differences primarily, because your workplace, it not necessarily could be a set building. You don't know how the school's going to be, and physically what the challenges you have. It is very high on emotional investment. When you're with children, you need to be emotionally invested. You have other things that happen with the organization, and you have all of your school responsibility, conducting regular assessments, and then also doing probably one of these tracks that I said, maybe the public sector track or the FA role. My days are pretty jammed.
I like how you said, refer to the children as kids. I went to that as well. When I joined teaching, I was hardly 23 or 24, and the people whom I was teaching were just like 2 years younger to me, and all of a sudden you refer to them as, oh, the kids haven't done. And then my friends were like, what are you talking, That's what teaching does to you, right? It's just like you have some parental responsibility towards them.
You are also being therapists for them sometimes, and they can come with you with any emotion. You take multiple roles, and you sometimes also become a parent, and irrespective of the age. It's just very fulfilling, wholesome, and the best career ever.
What are the specific skill sets that this job demands?
Planning would be something that you need to ace if you want to survive. We are assessed on these 5 specific skills: plan, execute, connect, envision, and reflect. Reflect is one skill that really stands out. Think from all different perspectives of how things could have gone differently. Critical thinking, effective use of resources.
If you had to go back in time and advise your younger self, what would the top 3 on that list of advice be?
I would ask myself to reflect more on my actions, choices, words. Read a lot of books, not just your textbooks. Ask my younger self, what do you want to listen, and tell her that.
This channel is a dedication to someone who inspired me to become a teacher, Dr. Richard Gonsalves, and I'm sure he was your teacher as well. What did you like most about Richard, sir?
I've luckily got a chance to even work with him. Sir had an ease with which he managed himself and presented himself. He had compassion in his voice, and I know how important that is for a student. He never took on the pressure, very stress-free, very calm. To see him how he is as a leader, I would always see that a bunch of teachers used to be there laughing with him. It was such a healthy, loving, and compassionate atmosphere that he created. He is the master of chemistry. He's amazing.
Thank you so much, Nirmala, for inspiring even me in the sense that I'm thinking in my mind, if I have to come back to India, I think I should do a 2-year fellowship with Teach for India. I'm sure that this video has inspired you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead, share it with your friends and colleagues so that you can contribute your bit in creating awareness about career opportunities in basic science. I will see you next Saturday. Until then, stay hungry, stay informed.